What if everything you consider real were just a reflection of a program you did not consciously choose? Imagine that since birth, every belief, every idea about who you are and the world around you has been shaped by invisible codes, hiding a deeper truth. This truth is not far away, nor is it found in sacred books locked away in forgotten temples. It is within you, waiting to be activated. For centuries, secret societies and spiritual traditions have preserved fragments of this knowledge, while ordinary humanity was taught to believe only in what it could see, touch, or measure. But the universe is not solid like stone. It is vibration, incessant movement, pure energy that responds to consciousness. Have you ever noticed how, no matter how hard you try, something always seems incomplete? You may work hard, visualize goals, repeat affirmations, but deep down you still feel that life is not aligned with what you want. This is because most people have been conditioned in the wrong way. We have learned to believe that reality is built from the outside in, when in fact it is the opposite. Matter is not the origin, it is the result. What shapes experience is not objects, but the frequency you emit. Everything vibrates in specific patterns, and these patterns follow precise laws as old as the cosmos. What many call the law of attraction is only a shadow of a much deeper principle. It is not just about thinking positively, but about understanding that consciousness is the key that transforms possibilities into facts. This forgotten rule is not a metaphor. It is science combined with ancient wisdom. Ancient civilizations already knew that the universe was a dance of energies. The Indian rishis called this spanda, the vibration that sustains all life forms. In Egyptian hieroglyphics, there are references to the creative breath that structures the cosmos. In Tibetan writings, we find the idea that the mind projects the world like a mirror. Modern physics confirms this. Before being observed, particles are only waves of probability. It is the observer's gaze that causes them to collapse into reality. Einstein called this phenomenon the observer effect. This is not a distant theory. It is proof that the way you see and feel shapes your experience. The universe is not something separate from you. It responds to the energetic signal you transmit at every moment. To understand this, imagine the radio metaphor again. You want to hear a specific melody. However, if the tuning is not correct, you will only hear static or another station. You can complain, insist, repeat your wishes, but nothing will change until you turn the knob and adjust the frequency. Life works the same way. The quantum field contains all possibilities: health, abundance, love, joy. But they only become real when your energy is in tune with them. This is where many people get confused. They think that repeating phrases like "I am rich" or "I am healthy" is enough. However, deep down they carry fear, anxiety, or resentment. The predominant vibration is one of lack, and that is what the field returns. The universe does not understand words, it understands energy. You can proclaim prosperity, but if your body vibrates scarcity, that will be the season you tune into. This is the accuracy of the forgotten rule. We do not receive what we ask for, we receive what we are. If the frequency that dominates your life is insecurity, experiences of insecurity will appear. If the state is one of harmony, reality organizes itself around harmony. This is neither punishment nor reward, but pure vibrational precision. Therefore, the real task is not to change the outside world, but to transform the internal frequency. Spiritual traditions have always pointed to this secret. In the Upanishads, the teaching echoes, Yatha Drishti Tatha Shrishti, as is the vision, so is the creation. In Buddhism, the concept of shunyata describes the emptiness full of potential, which only becomes form when the mind connects. In Christian teachings, we find the idea that the kingdom of God is within you. In all cultures, the message is the same. External reality is a reflection of the inner world. Meditation, for example, was not created solely as a relaxation practice. It was a method for aligning the mind and heart, quieting the body, and elevating perception, allowing consciousness to tune into higher frequencies. This internal alignment not only transforms the way we feel, but literally reorganizes external circumstances. The heart emits a more powerful electromagnetic field than the brain, and this field influences not only the body, but also the surrounding space. So the question arises, why? If this knowledge has always been available, do most people still live limited lives? The answer is simple. This knowledge has been preserved only by small groups. For a long time, it was believed that it was not safe to give this power to everyone. The fear was that it would be used destructively. But today, humanity is ready to recover this code. Science already confirms it, and more people are awakening to this reality. The first step is to take on the role of conscious observer. You're not a victim of circumstances, but a co-creator of reality. Every thought, every emotion, every intention shapes the quantum field. When body, mind, and heart are aligned, the message sent is clear, and the universe responds without fail. It is not magic, but precision. This is the invitation of this journey, to rediscover the forgotten quantum rule and apply it to everyday life. It is not enough to understand it intellectually. You have to experience it. You have to embody the version of yourself that already lives the desired reality. If you want prosperity, start acting like someone who is prosperous. Value your time. Take care of your energy. Cultivate gratitude. If you want love, first cultivate self-love and offer authentic presence. If you want health, direct your attention to what works in your body and nourish vitality. Change does not happen in a single grand leap, but in small, consistent choices. Every conscious breath, every aligned decision, every moment of gratitude reinforces the new frequency. Gradually, the old programming loses strength and the new one stabilizes. Life responds with reflexes, and what seemed impossible begins to become natural. This is the essence of the quantum rule. We do not attract what we simply want, but we manifest what we already are in our vibration. Many people believe that manifestation boils down to positive thinking, repeating motivational phrases, or visualizing beautiful images. However, this view is only superficial. The true process goes much deeper, as it involves not only thoughts, but also emotions, bodily memories, breathing, and signals that the body emits every second. When only the rational mind tries to create, the result is almost always frustrating, because the rest of the system remains stuck in old patterns. These invisible marks, traumas, fears, inherited beliefs, continue to send signals to the quantum field and nullify conscious efforts. That is why so many are disappointed. They try to imagine abundance while their hearts vibrate scarcity. They repeat phrases of love while their bodies still hold rejection. They desire health but feed anxiety and guilt. The universe does not respond to what you say out loud, but to what you vibrate as a whole. Every detail counts: thought, feeling, posture, confidence, breathing. When everything points in the same direction, coherence arises. And coherence is the password that opens the doors to the quantum field. This principle is confirmed by science itself. Experiments show that two particles that have interacted remain connected, even at immense distances. A change in one causes an immediate change in the other. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. What few realize is that the same thing happens with our consciousness. We are not just isolated individuals, but parts of an intertwining that connects versions of ourselves across multiple timelines. In some of these timelines, there's already a version of you living in abundance. In another, you experience perfect health. In another, you live in deep love. All coexist as possibilities. The question is, which one are you in tune with right now? The problem is that most of the time, we are connected to old versions, marked by limitations and fears. This is not because we want it, but because we have been conditioned from an early age. Family, society, painful experiences, all of this has created programs that remain active in our unconscious. When someone says, "I tried everything and nothing worked," what really happened was that the unconscious signal was still stuck in the old pattern. And the quantum field, being precise, only reflected that state. The universe does not respond to superficial desires. It responds to the integral frequency. This frequency does not change with just 5 minutes of positive thinking. It is shaped by how you live each moment. You are the observer, and the observer defines which timeline manifests. Therefore, the fundamental question is not what do I want, but who is the observer I am being right now? This question changes everything because it shows that manifestation is not something you do, but something you become. Then another question arises. How do you become the new observer? How do you leave behind your old identity, marked by fear, and activate the version that already lives your dreams? The answer lies in a conscious exercise of transformation. It does not require magic formulas or complicated practices, but rather a willingness to look, let go, and choose. The first step is to witness. Close your eyes or simply take a deep breath and observe which identity is active in you right now. Ask yourself, what belief, what fear, what memory is creating this reality? Just observe. Don't judge, don't fight. Recognize the program for what it is. This simple observation already brings light to the unconscious. The second step is to separate yourself from that identity. Declare internally, this is not me, it is just old programming that I learned. By affirming this, you create space. At this point, it is common for the old identity to resist, trying to convince you that it still has power. It may bring thoughts of doubt or feelings of insecurity. This is natural. It means that it is losing strength. Do not fight it, just reaffirm the separation. The third step is to choose. Choosing is not wishing. It is embodying. Ask yourself, how does the version of me that already lives in abundance act? How does the version that already lives in health breathe? How does the version that already loves and is loved speak? Then, start experimenting with these attitudes right now. Breathe like that version. Walk like it. Speak like it. Decide like it. Don't just ask, what would that version do, but what would it no longer accept? This detail is powerful because it helps you abandon habits and thoughts that are incompatible with your new identity. This process is not done just once. It needs to be repeated every day with every breath. Every time you consciously choose the new observer, you strengthen the desired timeline. The quantum field does not respond to occasional intentions, but to consistent signals. The more times you reinforce your choice, the more the universe reorganizes circumstances to reflect it. However, there is an important point: recalibration. When you install a new identity, the system that worked at the old frequency reacts. Noises arise, strange situations occur, people seem to behave unexpectedly. The environment begins to change, but before it fully aligns, it shows disorder. Many interpret this moment as failure. They think, nothing has changed, I'm still the same. But this is only proof that the old is dissolving. Persisting in this phase is essential. Imagine someone who wants prosperity. They begin to act with an abundant mindset. They value time, energy, and make more conscious choices. At first, it may seem like nothing is happening. Perhaps even unforeseen events arise. But with consistency, the vibration of abundance stabilizes and new opportunities begin to emerge. The same is true for love and health. Those who desire authentic relationships must first cultivate self-love and offer the kind of presence they wish to receive. Those who desire health need to focus on what already works well in the body and nourish vitality with daily choices. In all cases, the secret is the same. Become the observer who already lives what you desire. Your old identity may try to return, but each time you remember and return to the new, you reinforce the collapse of your chosen timeline. Gradually, the old frequency loses strength. This process requires patience and discipline. It is not about perfection, but about consistency. There will be moments of forgetfulness, but each memory is a victory. The field does not ask you to never make mistakes, but to choose again whenever you remember. This repetition creates stability, and stability transforms possibilities into concrete reality. Deep down, the quantum leap is not something you do, but something that happens when you stop feeding what you no longer want. It is the natural consequence of small, consistent choices. It is the silent victory of those who have learned to be consistent. And if this teaching resonates with you, remember, your participation is part of the process. Enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Write in the comments, "J'active ma nouvelle identité," and publicly declare your decision to vibrate the new observer. When you do this, you not only strengthen your transformation, but also contribute to creating a collective field of consciousness. When you decide to live at a new frequency, some bonds inevitably change. Relationships, habits, and situations that were connected to your old identity begin to drift away. Not because you reject people or circumstances, but because there is no longer a vibrational resonance. The field reorganizes everything according to the new signal you transmit. However, the old timeline does not disappear silently. It echoes, trying to convince you to return to what was familiar. This echo can manifest as doubts, insecurities, a feeling of heaviness, or even intense memories. Many believe this is a mistake, but in fact, it is proof that change is happening. The transition is rarely smooth. Think of a radio changing stations. For a few moments, the sound mixes frequencies, creating noise. This noise does not mean failure, but rather that the tuning is being adjusted. The same thing happens when you begin to live your new identity. Voices from the past arise saying, "Nothing has changed, you are still the same." But these voices are not reality. They're just remnants of the old program trying to survive. The mistake is to believe them. The right thing to do is to recognize that this discomfort is only a sign of clarity. Many give up at this stage. They return to the old observer not because it was better, but because it was familiar. The familiar seems safe, even when it brings pain. The real challenge is to sustain the new without external evidence. This is the definition of stabilizing, acting like the new version even when reality still shows traces of the past. It is not about pretending, but about responding according to the chosen identity. When your bank account is low, but you act with dignity. When your relationship is confusing, but you speak with integrity. When anxiety arises, but you breathe and respond with serenity. Each conscious choice strengthens the new timeline. The universe does not measure occasional intentions, but consistency. It does not evaluate speeches, only signs. Therefore, the question is not, why hasn't the new reality arrived yet? But what vibration have I stabilized myself in today? True testimony is not proven in moments of inspiration, but in moments of doubt. It is when everything seems confusing, and yet you choose to remain. Of course, there will be relapses. You will forget, react like the old observer. But every time you remember and return, you will reinforce the collapse of the desired line. The field does not require perfection. It requires repetition. Over time, the old frequency loses strength. Like a fire that goes out without fuel, it dissolves naturally. Then comes the moment when you realize that change no longer requires effort. It has become natural. The outside world inevitably reflects this. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped feeding what you didn't want. When the old signal ceases to occupy space, life updates the script. New people arrive, opportunities appear, doors open. Not as external miracles, but as a consequence of vibrational consistency. This is the true practice of manifestation, small daily choices. Not grandiose leaps, but constant decisions. A conscious breath, a different attitude, an aligned response. That's enough to stabilize the new identity. Many believe that manifesting is about mastering techniques, but the true masters are not those who know the most methods, but those who practice balance with consistency. When the desired identity becomes routine, manifestation ceases to be an effort and becomes a natural state. At this point, old thoughts may still arise, but they no longer have power. They're like distant voices that you hear without believing. Old emotions appear, but they are welcomed and released without becoming identity. Your speech changes, your breathing changes, your body transmits a different vibration. Not because you are acting, but because you have stopped sustaining what was never you. This is the secret. Transformation does not happen by magic, but through repeated choices, conscious breathing, and small, consistent actions. Gradually, the field responds. Different people approach you. Unexpected opportunities arise. The environment reorganizes itself. Not because the universe wants to reward you, but because it responds to the exact signal you emit. The invitation now is simple. Live daily as the new observer. Walk, talk, breathe. Choose as if you were already the desired version. When faced with each obstacle, just ask, who is responding here, the old or the new me? That question is the door. You are not born to live imprisoned by external rules, but to live guided by your internal signal. And that signal becomes clearer with each memory, each breath, each conscious decision. The truth is that you have never been separated from the desired timeline. You have never been far from abundance, love, or health. The intertwining has always been active. The leap does not take you anywhere else. It only dissolves the veil that separated you from what has always awaited you. When this becomes commonplace, it becomes real. Life does not change through effort, but through incarnation. Take a deep breath now. Feel not what you hope to achieve, but what already exists within you. That is the sign. That is the anchor. That is the proof. If you found these words today, it was not by chance. It is a call to remember who you are. Do not wait for forgetfulness to take you away again. And if this content resonated with you, don't let the algorithm decide when you will remember. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Write in the comments, J'active ma réalité quantique, to seal your decision to remain in the new observer. Every gesture reinforces the field. Every comment, every share, every conscious breath amplifies stability. The extraordinary becomes every day. Life doesn't change because you insisted, but because you remembered to be. That is the silent victory, the true manifestation.